Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 476 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Ilon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and an author. Our fifth book just came out. It's called Perseverance and How to Be a Great Fraternity or Sorority Alumnus. So go and pick up that book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble today. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring college students together. Fun fact, and some of you may already know this, I do work for Middle Tennessee State University's Center for Health and Human Services. And what we do, our team over there goes out and gets multi-million-dollar grants from the federal government to combat substance use disorder and opioid use disorder in our local communities here in the Nashville area and all of Middle Tennessee. Some of the initiatives that we've put into place: naloxone distribution. We have a PIC center. That's our diversion center for people who are picked up on first-time drug charges. So that way they can get the treatment that they need and get their records expunged after they do everything we ask them to do for 6 months. Beautiful program. We're doing education in businesses and schools around substance use disorder. We have a jail-based transition specialist helping people who are in the jails to transition successfully with jobs and housing and food once they transition out of jail. We are now building respite housing for those who are in treatment. Housing is such a huge need in our area, and we are reducing stigma in our communities. And we actually have reports at the Center for Health and Human Services documenting this reduction in stigma in our communities over a 3-year period. It's mind-blowing. And we're going to be doing some more stigma reduction today. So I'm happy to have this conversation with our next guest. Carla Douglin, she leads at Safety Net Solutions Initiative. Their mission is to revolutionize harm reduction by expanding awareness and providing a lifeline to those in need. They are committed to dramatically increasing public knowledge of and access to harm reduction tools and solutions, ensuring that life-saving resources are accessible when and where they are needed most. Inspired by Jane Goodall's wisdom, they strive to create a safer and more informed community. Welcome to the show, Carla.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I am so excited that you are with us today. There's nothing that I want to be talking about more than substance use disorder, opioid use disorder, and doing what we can to reduce stigma so that way folks get the treatment that they need. It's just
Absolutely
that simple. So you're the founder and the executive director of Safety Net Solutions Initiative. This is a harm reduction nonprofit. And one of the programs that I really want to talk about is how you provide life-saving Narcan kits through these cutting-edge vending machines, ensuring harm reduction in all of the high traffic areas across the country. So what made you want to start providing this important service?
It's a very simple story. First, I am the mother of a beautiful, bouncing 11-year-old boy who is walking into middle school. And last year, I watched the HBO show Euphoria for the first time. And that show changed my life. I come from a background of management consulting, and I hadn't thought about the opioid crisis before until I saw the show. And I looked at how easily kids can access drugs, how devastating the effects of fentanyl are. And it really made me think, okay, hold on a second. My son is about to walk into middle school. He's about to have access to kids who are vaping. He's about to have access to fentanyl that could be in a pill, that could be in a vape pen, that could be someplace around him. What am I doing in order to make sure that he is informed and protected in those situations? And really, so as I looked deeper into the opioid crisis, I understood that this is not just affecting my kid and just from walking into middle school. This is affecting all of us all the time. And the more that we are aware of the dangers and the more that we have access to the tools, then we will be able to change the chart and have the opioid crisis be directly affected by reducing stigma and by increasing awareness.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. I got a couple of kids myself.
Yeah.
One of them is a sophomore in college, one is going to be a freshman this fall. So I'm certainly concerned as a parent about the same things that you are, and good on you as a parent to watch that and then say, you know what, I'm getting involved. I'm going to do
Yes.
something to make sure that people don't get hurt. I think that's fantastic. Another really, really good show for our listeners. If you want to watch it, it's on Hulu. It's called Dope Sick.
Oh,
And just an incredible, incredible show. And here's what you don't know, Carla, is that Dr. Stephen Lloyd, who is the doctor who is depicted in that particular show, he's a
hmm,
close friend of mine. He lives in Nashville, Tennessee, and the whole show is about him. And he's a real
yes.
life guy who's doing incredible work. He actually is the chief medical officer at Cedar Recovery, who's one of our partners here in Tennessee, getting treatment for folks. And so go and watch Dope Sick if you really want to understand what's happening around the country. It's a great show. It's on Hulu, and you'll be riveted, just like, attached to your seat for every episode. But it's really,
Completely.
really good. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really good.
I loved Dope Sick. I thought that it was
Hmm.
it really told the story of the opioid epidemic from so
Yep.
many different angles.
Hmm.
And it's really important as a parent, as a college student, as a human being to be educated and informed on what is happening through these depictions. So, for example, Dope Sick, Euphoria, Painkillers on Netflix. These are all shows that people should be watching so that they are seeing that this is not something that's just affecting a certain demographic of people. This is affecting people from all walks of life.
Hmm.
And these particular shows really do a great job of drawing you into the story and showing you that this is not just somebody who's out there like, oh, let me experiment with heroin. No, it's actually a student who was injured and then got hooked on OxyContin. It's somebody who was hurt in a work accident. It's somebody who just happened to have an accident in a car accident. These are all situations that people can easily fall into, and they need to understand that this is happening out here in our country. It's a shame.
Absolutely. Yeah, really, really great recommendations there. Obviously, shout out to my boy, Dr. Stephen Lloyd from Dubsec. I want to talk about how it's impacting college students because
Mhm.
literally just last week, I had a mom of a college student. Her son took Xanax or thought he was taking Xanax from one of his contacts on Snapchat. And basically he died from an overdose, not somebody who anybody would consider to be a regular drug user. He just wanted to stay up late for his exam, took
Right.
what he thought was going to keep him up at night, ended up being a fake pill, and then he died from an overdose just like that
Just
because
like that.
this fentanyl is just being mixed in a pill press that's in somebody's backyard, and you really have no idea how much fentanyl is in that pill that you got from your contact on Snapchat. So tell us, what is the lethal truth about fake pills that are circulating on today's college campuses?
The lethal truth is that there is no truth to them.
Mm.
If you're getting a pill off the internet, if you're getting a pill on the street, and sometimes if you're being handed a pill from your friend, you can pretty much guarantee that that is not a pharma pill. That pill has been pressed, like you said, in somebody's backyard, and it's filled with fentanyl, with xylazine. It's filled with something like a synthetic opioid. And because the filler costs less than the actual pharma pill. So it costs less for somebody to actually press a pill that looks like a Xanax, that looks like a Adderall, that looks like Percocet, and to fill it with $2 worth of fentanyl and to hand that to you. It's You are taking your lives in your hands if you're taking a pill that you have obtained from somebody who is not a medical doctor. That is
Mhm.
the absolute truth. Unfortunately, these days, the drug supplies in most communities are contaminated. So what you're getting out there is it's not straight heroin. It's not straight Coke. If you're getting it from the street, it's not straight Adderall. It's not straight Xanax. It's not straight Percocet. So you need to make sure that you understand that the pills that may look real, they may look just like the other pill, the 100% pure pill, but it's not that.
Mm.
And if you take it, you could die.
Yeah, say it louder for those in the back. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for just bringing truth to what's circulating on today's college campuses.
Mhm.
Talk to us about some of the myths that you've seen around opioids.
Well, I love the fact that we're having this conversation about decreasing stigma,
Mhm.
because I think that one of the pervasive myths is that opioid addiction only happens to a certain group of people. And the truth is that addiction has no gender, it has no race, it has no socioeconomic background. This is something that's happening across our country to all walks of life. There are grandmothers who are hooked on opioids. There are students, there are young children, there are working professionals. This is not something that is just the party kids or just the low income people. This is opioid addiction affects us all. Another big myth that I'm hearing more and more that we really have to break down is that if you have Narcan that's available, you are saying that drug use is permissible, that you're saying that it's okay that people use drugs. And that's not what Narcan is about. Narcan is an opioid antagonist. And because the opioid crisis is so huge right now, having those tools that are around and available and that people know how to use only helps our communities. It's not saying that it's okay for you to use drugs. It's saying, hey, we know that drug use is happening. We know that opioids is something that is affecting all of us. And therefore, we're going to have the tools available and around so that if something happens, because something does happen, if something happens, we're prepared, we're ready, we know how to use it. And if someone is out on the ground and has overdosed, we know how to revive them.
Yeah, that's really, really great advice. And one of the great tools that I've seen recently is the One Box. This is basically a box that has naloxone in it. And when you open the box, in case of emergency, a video actually plays on the screen that actually demonstrates how to administer the naloxone that's in there. So, right on demand, you're going to be watching the video. This is exactly how you're going to administer this. So
Mhm.
that way, anybody, because we don't know who's going to be around when somebody is overdosing, anybody can save a life. And so, if we could get these One Boxes into every fraternity house, every sorority house, every restaurant, on every street corner, the more naloxone we have, the more
The more
lives
the
we're going to
better.
save. I mean, it's just that simple.
It's just that simple. Correct. Correct.
It's
And so
just that simple.
any tools that are available for people
Mhm.
to have on campus, for people to have in restaurants, for people to have at municipal buildings,
Yep.
at your local stadium, what have you. These tools are available, need to be available more widespreadly.
100% agreed.
Mhm.
Now, you talked about some of the wrong sources earlier. We talked about getting pills off the internet, terrible idea. We talked about getting pills from your Snapchat friend contact on campus, terrible idea. When
Terrible
you
idea.
say know your source, what is the right source?
You know, basically the right source is if you have not received a prescription, personally received a prescription from your medical professional, don't take it. And, when we look at the dope six, the painkillers, I understand that there are doctors who have done the wrong thing. I understand that there are doctors who have profited from the opioid epidemic. I get that. But that's a small amount of people. Those are the bad apples in the batch. Most doctors are good people who want to prescribe painkillers in a way that is responsible. So if you have not received a prescription from your medical professional, do not take that pill. That's the source. That's the one and only. You're not going to get Xanax on Amazon. You're going to make sure that
Mhm.
you get your prescriptions from a licensed medical professional. Snapchat is not the way to go.
There you go. You said it. Absolutely right. Now, what are some ways that college students can actually spot fake pills? Are there any ways that they know that it's fake?
So fake pills, the counterfeit pills that are out there are beautiful masterpieces. Honestly, it's kind of hard to spot whether they're fake or not. The way that you spot it is actually from the packaging that you receive it in.
Mm.
Did it come in a small baggie?
Mhm.
That's probably not the right pill. Did it come, and if you're looking at a group of pills, or is there discoloration between the pills? Do you see something that's slightly different? Is it speckled? Those are the things that can allow you to see if it's possibly fake. But again, because the fake pills are so beautifully mastered these particular days, you want to make sure that you test anything that you could possibly be suspect of. So that's that's where fentanyl or xylazine, or combination, even better, combination fentanyl and xylazine test strips come in. You take a small amount of the pill, you kind of crack it off, and then you put that in some water, you mix it up, and then you put the test strip in, and 3 minutes later, it tells you, it indicates whether there's fentanyl, xylazine, or a combination of both in that pill. And then you know not to take that pill. So again, the fakes are hard to spot. You look at the packaging. If it came to you in a baggie, if it came to you in kind of a suspect way, don't take it, period. But if you think, maybe I want to try to take this pill, test it first. Test before you ingest.
Yeah, those test strips are definitely life-saving. They have them for, for any opioids. They have it for xylazine,
Yes.
all of that stuff. The fentanyl test strips. I mean, all of this stuff is incredibly important. We need to get those out as quickly as we can.
Mhm.
In looking at some of the documentation that you've published, you suggest that we talk it out. What did you mean by that?
So, one of the issues with the opioid crisis is that opioid addiction is, it's solo. It's somebody who's handling it by themselves. It's somebody who may be in pain. It's somebody who's having a mental health crisis. It's somebody who's stressed. And because of this, you're taking a pill to kind of numb you out. You're taking something to take you away from the stresses and the pressures. When we create situations where peer groups are having open, honest conversations about struggles, about fentanyl fears, about the opioid crisis, that opens up the conversation and creates a safe space for people. So, what I recommend is that college students, even if you just have a conversation with a friend, two or three friends, and then that opens and expands into a group of people who are having these conversations about, hey, I thought that somebody might have put a little bit of fentanyl in this vape pen that was going around. You guys need to be careful about that. Or I know that somebody had tested a pill that they received from Snapchat and it did have xylazine in it. Make sure that you're careful about what it is that's going around. Those conversations open up and really decrease the stigma and the secrecy around opioid addiction and use.
Really good stuff. You also mentioned that you want us to lock it down. As somebody in the industry, I'm thinking that you're talking about securing our medications at home.
Absolutely.
Is that the case? I mean, why should we be doing that?
You should be doing that because unfortunately there are people out there who are going to try to steal your pills.
Mm.
Let's call a spade a spade. It is what it is. So in college, you can invest in a small lockbox if you have prescriptions like Xanax, like Adderall, like Percocet. Let's say you get hurt and somebody gives you some Percocet. You can invest in a small lockbox that you can have in your room that locks your medication down. And I'm not telling you not to trust the people around you. What I'm telling you is to trust in the fact that you have a prescription that someone could want. Therefore, put it in a lockbox. Make sure that make sure that you know how many pills that you have in that pill bottle. Did you start the month with 30 and now you have 10, or now you have 5 and you only used one? Make sure that you lock it down.
Hmm. Yeah, I know a mom who basically her son had passed from an opioid overdose. There were opioids in the house, and after he passed, there were missing pills from the bottle in the house after he had already passed.
Yeah.
And she's saying, "What in the world is going on?" It ended up that the house cleaner that had been in there cleaning the house had been taking pills and selling them. So there's value to those pills that are in your house. So you
Yes.
might not think that it's an issue. You might not think that you need to lock it down. Why should I lock it down? Maybe you're saying to yourself, we don't have small kids in the house, so there's no reason to do it. But if you have a house cleaner, you got a plumber, you got people coming into your house, guess what? This is an opportunity for somebody to potentially, I'm not saying everybody's a criminal, but what I
Correct.
am saying is that there's high value to those pills. And if they have
Yes.
access to it in your medicine cabinet or in your bathroom and you're keeping it unlocked, just understand that is an opportunity for somebody to make a quick buck. So,
That's absolutely right.
yeah,
And I'm glad that you brought that up because again, it's not just college students. You have to think
right.
of it as a parent. who is in your home. Do
Mhm.
you have a cleaner? Do you have a plumber? Do you have a babysitter? These are people
Mhm.
who are, unfortunately, they're going to be looking through your medicine cabinets. They're
Yeah.
going to be looking through your home. And if you have not locked down those medications, the ability for somebody to steal them and sell them and or use them, that's high. So you have to
Mhm.
make sure you're careful.
Absolutely, 100%. And those lock boxes are very inexpensive. You can pick them up at any pharmacy. I know that our coalition, Drug Free Wilco in Tennessee, we hand them out when we do drug takebacks in our
Right.
community. We just give them out for free because we just want people to lock down their medications. If they do, then I know that those opioids are locked down and it's not going to end up in the hands of somebody who doesn't have a prescription for them. So
Exactly.
super important. Now, we've been talking here about Narcan, and people hear, Narcan. Certainly, we know that, police officers have it. EMT
Mhm.
has Narcan. How does Narcan work? Where can we find it if we need it?
Well, Narcan is really wonderful. Narcan and or naloxone, because you can
Hmm.
always get the generic version of naloxone as well. Narcan is an opioid antagonist. And essentially, what it does is it binds itself to any opioids that are in the system and it shuts them down for between 30 to 90 minutes. So let's say somebody is having an overdose and you immediately provide Narcan for them. Well, then that means it clears out, it shuts down the opioids that are in their system and revives them immediately within 2 to 3 minutes. Now, naloxone is safe for anybody who does not have opioids in their system. So if you give naloxone to somebody, or let's say that your small child comes across some naloxone that you have in your house and they happen to spray it up their nose, it is not going to hurt them. It is
Hmm.
essentially used for people who have it in their system and it kills their high. And so the question is, where do I get it? Because more than EMTs should carry it, more than police officers should carry it. If you got kids going to school, high school, middle school, college, you got kids going to school, they should be carrying naloxone with them. You can get naloxone from some pharmacies. Some pharmacies do carry it. It is an over-the-counter drug. So they should not ask you for a prescription to have Narcan. So you can get it at your local pharmacy. You can get it from safety coalitions and organizations, nonprofit organizations in your area. And most importantly, you can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon, Walmart, CVS, and Walgreens online. They will ship it to you, both the brand version and the lower cost generic version of naloxone. You can get it right on Amazon. They will ship it to you. I believe that the max is 12 boxes that they will send to you, but make sure that you get on there and get it.
Yeah, you're saving lives just by letting people know where they can go to get it. You're absolutely right. I'll say a couple of things. Number one, yes, it is available over the counter. I mean, you could literally spray this in the nose of an infant and nothing will happen to this
Nothing will
infant.
happen.
Okay.
Correct.
So it's really only for, when there's opioids present in your body that it
Mhm.
attaches. So that's number one. And then, number two, if you are going to administer Narcan or naloxone, definitely before you administer it, just call the police, call EMS,
Please.
so that way they get onto the scene. Because usually what ends up happening is once you administer the naloxone, one of two things could happen. I mean, number one, you're eliminating their high and they're going to instantly bounce back.
Correct.
So, understand that when they bounce back, one of two things could happen. Either they're going to puke and just throw up all over the place, or B, they're going to be upset because they thought they were getting high and now that high has completely disappeared. So they
Correct.
might get a little bit
A
upset
little
or
agitated.
violent,
A little
a little
agitated.
agitated when they come back. Okay. So that's why it's always a good idea to have police or EMS on the scene,
Mhm.
or at least call them so that way they're on their way. So that
Correct.
way, if it does turn into kind of a situation that you're like, I'm not comfortable with this, you have police and EMS that are on the scene in order to help.
Yep.
So, couple of things I think that we want to add there. We talked about the test strips before, and I think this is great for college students to know. Talk to us more about these fentanyl and xylazine test strips. Where can we get it?
Mhm.
Things like that.
Well, first of all, I have fentanyl and xylazine combination test strips because
Mm,
remember, if you've got a drug substance that could be, contaminated, it could be contaminated with both fentanyl, and xylazine. So if you are testing with just a fentanyl test strip or just a xylazine test strip, it may tell you the presence of one, but not the other. So the combination fentanyl and xylazine test strips are really important to have on your person or available so that it tells you if both are present in a particular substance. So again, the test strips allow you to test a little bit of the drug. You put it in a little bit of water, like the cap of a water bottle, that much water, and then you swirl the drug around in it, put the test strip in, and 3 minutes later, I'm saying 2, but it's 3, 3 minutes later, it'll tell you whether fentanyl, xylazine, or both are detected in that drug, and therefore do not take it. You think you're taking Adderall, but really you're taking a pill that's been pressed with either fentanyl or xylazine, and that will take you down a road you're not trying to go down. Therefore, always, again, test it before you ingest it. It takes 3 minutes in order to tell you whether whether either of those drugs are in the thing that you think you're taking. Take the 3 minutes.
Yeah, really, really great advice. I appreciate you sharing all of this. I think this is critical for college students to hear. I think every college student needs to listen to this episode because there's such great information here. It should be shared widely. And thank you for sharing all of this life-saving information with us. Now, we do love good food here at the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. That's my weakness, is really good food. Okay, I want to be straight with you. So, where can I get a great meal if I'm in Washington D.C.? Where should I be going to get a great meal?
Well, I mean, DC is a big foodie palace. It's oh my gosh, there's so much great food here. I would tell you 2 places.
All right.
First, in DC proper on U Street is a beautiful restaurant called Busboys and Poets. They have the most amazing catfish. Oh my gosh. And the food there is really delicious, and the experience of being at Busboys and Poets is beautiful. If you want to venture outside the city, there is a really great place that's just recently opened called The Breakfast Club on Fenton Street in Silver Spring. Oh, like the food is to die for. They have they have shrimp. Oh my gosh, shrimp deviled eggs.
Oof.
Michael, you will never be the same after having these shrimp deviled.
Say less.
Never. But the food there, the cocktails, the atmosphere, it's a really, really beautiful little spot in Silver Spring.
Yeah, those sound absolutely great. I can tell you're a foodie too, so you're my kind of person.
I know.
And so I love it. I love it. I love it. And those are great options, and I'm definitely going to go and check those out the next time.
We could talk food for hours.
For hours. That's another episode.
Food and drugs. We could talk about for hours.
Oh my goodness. All right. So listen, this has been great. If the college students who are listening right now, if they're interested in setting up their own naloxone vending machine on their college campus, or maybe it's like a concert venue, something like that, where college students are going to be around, where should they go in order to connect with you and get access to that?
Well, we're available at SNSIfoundation.org. And on our homepage, they can easily fill out the contact information and we would get right back to them. That is one of the most important things to me, is that we are widely distributing these harm reduction tools. And so we do have a full vending machine program that we run through the nonprofit. So if somebody wants a vending machine in their venue or in their area, reach out at snsifoundation.org and we will make sure that happens.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic project that any fraternity member or sorority member who's listening right now could set up. And, when you have the fraternity and sorority members actually invested in the community, wanting to save lives, I think that says a lot about the types of people that are in that organization, that they want to protect students, that we know that people are going to have a good time, but at the same time, we also want to protect them and make sure everybody gets home safe.
That's the message. That's it right there.
Yeah, so that's beautiful. So it's SNSIfoundation.org. Go and check it out. And there you'll be connected with Carla. And she has all of the things that you're going to need in order to save lives. All the harm reduction tools are there. All the solutions are there. And so, Carla, what can I say? Thank you so much for doing what you do. It's important work. It's God's work. And I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me on and spreading the message. I love talking to like-minded people. So It was a pleasure.
Amen. All right. And to all of our listeners, if you enjoyed this conversation with Carla and you want to spread that message on your college campus in terms of harm reduction tools, please like this video. I want you to share it with other college students that can get engaged in this mission so that way we can make our college campuses safer. And we will see you on another episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time.